So where are you from originally?
Originally from Indiana, a town called Lawrenceburg. Kind of on the trifold between Kentucky. There's a bridge that goes to Kentucky and the highway goes to Ohio, and it all kind of meets right there in Indiana.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I moved to Dayton, Ohio. My dad's business partner, he was from a town called Springboro where they lived. So when I was 14, I think I went to Lawrenceburg High School for one day. And my dad took us, me and my sister and my mom, up to Springboro, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go on a trip, and whatever." Didn't say anything about moving there, anything like that. And we're up there, and it's like 5 times the size. And he's like, "So what do you guys think?" And my sister and I were like, "This is great.
It's amazing."
So she's 2 years older. She's 31, so I'll be 30 in June. But she's a sophomore in high school at the time, so it was a little different for her. But dude, we clicked up like that, and it was awesome. We adapted. It's been great, man. Dayton, Ohio is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And were you playing sports at a young age? This show is sponsored by Open Recovery Addiction Help. Whether you're newly sober, in long-term sobriety, or even maybe looking to make a change in your life, Open Recovery offers 24/7 support right from your phone. It's anonymous and packed with tools to help you stay connected, stay accountable, and build the life you deserve. Download the Open Recovery Addiction Help app today and take the next step in your recovery journey.
Yeah, I mean, I played sports my whole life. Yeah. So I played everything when I was younger, but primarily I loved playing football. So football was, taught me pretty much, everything I know about life and being a man now. But I love baseball. I didn't run track in high school, but I love running track too. Play a lot of golf too. One thing I thought I'd be a lot better at once I got sober, but turns out that's not really the case.
You got to be drunk out on that course to really hit it right away.
Dude, I'm telling you, I pulled in here and I'm like, man, Jupiter's a bunch of guys live down here. Expensive golf down here, but nice.
Yeah.
But I play a lot of golf, but it's funny. Part of me kind of thinks I don't really love golf as much as I used to. I love golf. I really do. Because I'm a competitor, I just really like to practice craft, go out and work on it. But man, golf was fun when you just get hammered. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of wild when you really say it out loud, but it's long. Brooks Koepka, if you know Brooks Koepka, one time he was like, golf should be 15 holes. And looking back, I go, he might be on to something right there. So
getting up keeps you moving forward with God. It kind of makes it a little easier because it is so long. I agree with you. And it's also the experience of just getting up with the boys and it's a whole scene,
Oh dude, yeah, for sure. I still love playing it. I haven't played as much. We actually got a golf trip planned for South Carolina in a month and a couple weeks. So I'm pumped for that. So when I was in sales, I'm still in sales now, but when I was in car sales, I was for 6 years. I played 2-3 times a week. And I was scoring pretty good, but I'm like a mid 80s guy. If I shoot a low 80s, I'm fired up. That's like shooting under par for me.
Oh, if I'm under 100, I'm jacked up. I'm one of those.
I mean, I've shot a 77 in a year, and then I've shot a 102 in a year. Yeah. It's just like, what did I do that day that I'm not doing today? You
didn't drink as much.
That's right, man. I don't know. But I was the guy on the course though, for sure. We used to play super early. I drive to Blue Ash City in just north of Cincinnati. Super nice course. Play there. We play a couple courses around that 10-15 minute range around there. 7:30 tee time. Dude, I was definitely smoking a blunt on the way down for sure. And I was definitely getting some beers to start. Not a 6-pack on the front 9, but getting like a tequila sunrise or screwdriver to start it out. Why? No idea. Only guy doing it. But no idea. But that was like golf for me back then for the longest time. 11 o'clock rolls around, time to go home, and I'm not working that day. I'm driving home and I'm smashed. And I'm like, what is the deal? It's just crazy though, man. It's like, no idea. I look back on times like that and you're just like, wow, bro. It's bizarre. And I play golf sometimes now, and I think it's just why, and anyone listening to this, they're probably thinking like, is he talking about? A normal person doesn't go through something think like that. But now I'm on the 9th hole thinking, God, I get to drive a car home today. I get to just wave at cops driving by.
Yeah, you have nothing to worry about.
It's unreal. It's
clean and sober today. You have nothing to worry about.
Dude, it's the biggest breath of fresh air I'd ever. I mean, it's just wild. I never thought like that before.
Yeah, and you were saying before you're coming up on 2 years of sobriety. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it really is. It's incredible, dude. It's yeah. I mean, 3 years ago, if I would have someone would have told me I was going to be sober for 2 years, I would have been like, let's make that happen now.
Right.
Because I'm a person who's not shy about it. I loved to party. I did. I really liked it. I didn't like, I guess you don't really think about the lifestyle back then, but I loved it. I really liked going out, and it was a little different, I don't know. Wasn't partying the same way when I was 25, 26 as to when I was 21. But yeah, dude, I mean, I love smoking weed and I love drinking. I didn't care what it was, dude. If we were going to a gas station to get drinks and you asked me what it was, I would just tell you, don't care, just make sure it's enough. That's it.
Yeah.
So
what was high school like for you?
A blast. I had a great experience in high school. Like I said, fresh moving from Indiana. And it's great. My parents are pretty outgoing people, never met a stranger. So my sister and I are, alike in that sort. So we moved there and made friends pretty easy. I played sports. But she caught on like that too. She's super smart. So we had a great time, man. I was homecoming king my senior year.
Look at you.
It was sweet, man. So
you were homecoming king. You were playing football, playing sports. Was football the only sport you were playing?
I played baseball too, but I didn't play baseball my senior year.
Okay.
Just to focus on it.
Yeah. So you're playing football. One would think you're on top of the world. How were you feeling mentally and internally? Were you feeling good about yourself at this time?
Like a rock star.
Okay.
Absolutely. I loved high school. I was feeling great. I had a bunch of friends. I did fine with girls. But I wasn't arrogant, dude. I've never been that guy. I wasn't an asshole, and I wasn't come from an awesome family, a pretty affluent family. But, we're not killing it. Come down to Fort Lauderdale. I mean, dude, I've seen hundreds of Ferraris, Lamborghinis down here.
It's insane, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. It's really cool, actually. But we live in a nice part of town, and it's awesome. We're super fortunate. We're blessed. It's a great part of town. It's just south of Dayton. But yeah, man, I mean, it's not like that, but you asked me about high school, was it?
Yeah. Just your mental state when, you won prom king, you're playing football, things are on paper looking great for you. And mentally, where were you at? Were you even using or drinking then? You were drinking, I'm assuming socially. Where were you at with substance abuse as well?
I started smoking when I was in high school. I was an athlete, and I always worked out. I started working out when I was in 8th grade with my dad. So I was focused on sports. I don't want to say I didn't care about school, but sports was my focus. But it kept me out of partying. But 16, I think I smoked weed for the first time. But this was this was a 0.5 out of 10. In the terms of I smoked weed once in a while. Ever, because I was still focused on, propelling my athletic career. And at the time, man, I played football, you played football. I wanted to go to the NFL, and I took it serious. I mean, I played and I coached. It was awesome, and I coached football this past year. And it was great to be on that side of the game, and really just kind of put your passion into it that way. Because I did take it serious when I played, man. I put everything I had into it in the weight room, on the field. So yeah, dude, I mean, playing sports was everything, but it's, like I said, I was never egotistical at all, but started smoking weed around then. And I remember the first time I ever smoked weed, it was like, wow, I had such a great experience. It was awesome. I wasn't fucked up. I was just feeling like, I remember we did it and we went to the pool and I was swimming around and I was like, wow, how have I never done this before? And I also didn't think it was I didn't think of it as like a drugs. Just doing it with some people who were good people, good guys, good friends. So I didn't really think of it like that. But, junior year, we were partying a little bit, but I was a team captain my senior year. But when I was in high school, my junior year, we went undefeated in football, and it was a big deal. So we took it serious. We didn't party, so we were in season and we didn't party, man. We were locked in. So my senior year, pretty much the same story, honestly. Man, we partied a little bit, but like it wasn't in season. But when football was over, it was like I was not checked out, but I just felt like I was a grown up at that point. So I started partying a little bit more. At that point, I'd accepted a scholarship, and so I put on a little bit of weight. So I wasn't doing much cardio, drinking some Bud Lights, drinking some PBR. So I got up to like 215, but really not taking cardio into I'm not making it a priority. So blew up that way, but the partying career probably really catapulted when I was in college.
Where did you end up going?
I went to Georgetown College in Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you got a scholarship for football. Okay.
Yeah. It was a blast, man. It was so cool. I just loved the idea. It's not far from University of Kentucky. Great experience. Some guys from my high school went there and they really liked it. It was a lot of fun. It was a smaller school, so I kind of faded. The idea of playing football kind of faded out. I really didn't mesh with a lot of coaches there. It kind of took the fun out of it for me, which really sucked because I really loved football. But I got like 2 injuries, and I remember calling my dad on one Saturday and saying, I think I'm ready to start drinking beer on Saturdays, watching football. But at this time, dude, I didn't have a problem. I was like, I wasn't drinking much. And I wasn't an asshole, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The ego wasn't, I get it. When that addiction is in full-fledged motion, a lot of these arrogant, narcissist behavior, not necessarily we are that.
Oh yeah.
But it's the tendencies that come along with addiction and, just like that deep-rooted fear of whatever it may be going on in your life and like a defense mechanism almost.
Yeah.
So what position did you play, by the way?
So I played linebacker, played running back my whole life, moved to Ohio and played linebacker.
Wow.
Yeah. Which was cool because I played fearless, man. I was cool. I could move pretty good.
Yeah.
Only 5'10", on a super good day, which is every day. But I could move good and I could pop pretty good.
Nice.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
So you make the call to your dad. I think I'm going to start drinking beers on Saturday, AKA I'm done playing football. Was there fear in telling your father that? And how did your father react?
Not a bit. No, they were cool with it. They came up and watched the games too. But they have always supported me in anything I did. So it wasn't even much of like a thing I thought about much. Like I just didn't love it. I was tired of waking up. Like I said, I didn't mesh with the coaches a lot. I'm the kind of guy, man, where if I don't, I'm the kind of guy where if we don't get along, it's really good chance it's not because of me. And I just didn't love a couple coaches. So we're getting up at 4 a.m., working out. It's 100 degrees in the gym. And I'm like, man, is this even fun anymore? So of course I'm smoking weed, and you can't, it's a dry campus. So when we did party, we got written up once and I had beer in my backpack, got written up. And I'm like, dude, what is the deal, man? My parents are cool with me drinking, cause they, when I first started drinking, I did it with them. They taught me how to do it responsibly. And that's probably where my, not party career began, right? But my parents have a lake house. They got some real estate in Tennessee on the lake. And we go down there. I think they got it when I was 15. So we go down there and, 16 or 17, they're like, look, and my family's always drank. We're Italian. So it's just been a thing that we've always done. And no one was ever an idiot. No one ever did it where they would get in trouble. Nobody's going to jail, right? Nobody was ever in trouble. So it was just socially accepted in my family, and it was just, it was always a blast too, man. We had so much fun at my family parties, both sides. So that's really where I learned it. So I remember taking my friends down there for the first time, and my dad's like, "You guys want some beers?" But and he just said, "Look, if you're gonna do it, man, you need to learn how to do it responsibly. You don't need to be buying it from somebody who's getting a fake ID, getting it from somebody you're just, here's $20. Can you go buy us a bottle kind of thing? I'm not gonna let you have 100. I'm not gonna let you, whatever. But it's just us down here. You guys are 17. You're." And he knows them well, right? You're all close to adults. Let's be smart. Let's have some fun. That's kind of where I really started drinking, honestly. But I wasn't smoking a lot of weed back then. Mm-hmm. But when I got to college, that's when I had that freedom, man. I had a truck. I had some wheels. I could go out there and hotbox my truck. Mm. And I think I did it every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're smoking weed now, you're drinking now. Do you feel, was there some rebellious actions that you were taking once, the people at school were telling you couldn't drink, but obviously your parents were completely fine with it? Did you feel like you were restrained by the college at all, or allowed or entitled to drink?
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe not. Rebellious probably isn't the word I'd use. I just kind of felt like, I'm 18 years old. I'm just going to fucking do what I want to do, which is not the right attitude to have. But, at the time, man, yeah, for sure. I was just like, dude, there's so many people here that are drinking. And I got written up this one night, and the next morning called my parents. And I said, yeah, look, this just happened. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not in cuffs, I'm not in trouble. So I went to the dean of the students. Dude, it's a funny story. So we're all getting high in this room, and we hear boom, 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 boom on the door. I mean, we had just put this thing out. I'm talking about fan blowing out the window, and we all just look at each other. Was that the door? And we're fried. And we hear it again. Boom, 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 boom. We're coming in. And I look to my left and I'm like, who's coming in? So I had this backpack on full of beer, 12-pack in there, nothing else. So me being the slick guy I am, I take the backpack, slide it off the back, slide against this, lean against the back of the bed. Boom, comes in the dean of students, the head of the RAs, and the RA for that dorm. And I'm like, what's up? And they're like, smells like weed. And I probably said something like, you got that right. You know what I mean? And they're like, where's the weed? And I'm like, don't have any. And I don't think they did at the time. So they took our student IDs, bailed out. Next morning, I was at the dean of students because I knew her. She helped me set up classes and stuff. I was an athlete.
Of course.
And she walks to her office. I was sitting right there, and I said, good morning. And I said, look, here's the thing. We got to sit down and talk about this. I'm not a guy to run from anything like this. I said, look, I had beer last night. That was mine. I didn't have any pot. It wasn't mine. I'm going to take responsibility for that. But I can tell you right now, it wasn't my pot. I wasn't smoking pot. Little white lie. But I said, look, I'm not that kind of person at all. So I got some community service hours for that. And it was just another notch where I was like, oh man, I'm not feeling this.
So I used to do things like that. I would fess up and I'm taking accountability for the lesser of the two, but I'm taking accountability. Like it's this form of manipulation almost. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. For sure. Yeah. And it was almost like not a get out of jail free card, but just like I skimmed by it again.
I got by.
I was good
because I knew if I got in trouble for the weed, then bigger repercussions.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, man, for sure. And I don't know. I think my parents probably at the time would have been pretty pissed about me having weed.
Yeah, of course.
I remember the time I first got caught smoking weed, and I didn't get caught smoking the weed, but I was high. And we used to, in high school, they had the $5 movie nights at the theaters. $5 at the Dayton Mall on Tuesday, $5 5 miles up the highway at this place called The Green, this nice town center. We were seeing movies every week. So me and a couple of my friends, so we go to this one this night, and I was still ripped. after this movie. It's 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And I get back. My mom and dad are still up. It's in high school, right? And come in, and I go straight to the cabinet, the pantry. My mom walks straight by her, and I don't even know if she said anything to me. I'm just fumbling around in the pantry. And she looks over and goes, "How's the movie?" And I'm just stoned out of my mind. So I don't even think I said anything. It's asked me again. It was good. It was good. Boom. I walked in the other living room, laid down on the couch, and I'm watching Duck Dynasty. This one stuck with me for a long time. My dad walks in the room, and I'm laying down like this, and he walks into my view like this. He looks at me and goes, "Are you fucking serious?" And I went, oh shit. He just knew. My dad's, dude, he's just as sharp as a fucking tack.
Yeah.
He really is. You can't slide anything by him. And he's been around the way. He's the kind of guy, when he talks, you listen. Awesome though. He's one of my best friends, for real. But he walks in and goes, he didn't ask me, are you high, dude? He goes, "You fucking serious?"
He fucking knew.
And he goes, "Your fucking mother asks you a question, you fucking answer her." Something like that. Walks out. And I was caught, dude. And I was like, boom, now I'm sober. You know, and you know what I mean? And I get up, I walk in there, and he's working in his office, sitting at his desk. And I don't even know what I said, but I just like straight tail between the legs. And he goes, "Your mom ever says anything to you, you respond to her. You understand what I'm saying to you?" I went, "Yes, sir. Yes, I do." And my dad and I don't have a relationship like that, you know, like and I also don't do anything to where it would
have to be like that.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I've always tried to stay on the right side of the tracks. Yeah, of course. But yeah, man, that time was the one where I was like, oh, okay, he's not to be fucked with for sure. Because I could just tell. There was, you know, another thing with that kind of same thing was he was like, "Look, dude, you know, you can do whatever you want. You can get a tattoo on your forehead. You can get a girl pregnant. But if you ever get a DUI," my dad had a DUI a long time ago. I was super, super young. He goes, "If you ever get a DUI, make sure you call your mom, because you're going to call me and I'm not going to answer, and you're going to hate me for it tomorrow."
Ooh.
"You're going to hate when I don't answer and when I don't bail you out. Because I did it. You should have learned your lesson right there. You roll the dice. You're a grown man. Our relationship's going to be different. You're going to look at me different."
Big no-no.
It's a blessing that never happened. Absolute total blessing that never happened, man. Crazy. So
you go on through college. What does life look like for you after college?
Really, honestly, no direction, but just a ton of you know, I'm ready to tackle the world. You know, I was ready to just do it. But I also had this, so when I quit playing football, I got into killer shape, got shredded, lost like 35 pounds, always taking it pretty serious. So I got, you know, so I started taking that a little more serious, still partying a lot, but I'm trying to think of what I did first. I think I always thought I would go into sales, but I wasn't a kid in high school who said, "I'm going to be a dentist. You know, I want to be an eye doctor. I want to be a doctor." Didn't really take school all that serious. Didn't really want to, I guess, which looking back on it, I probably would have done things a lot different, to be honest. But I knew I was going to be in some kind of sales, person to person, you know, relationship kind of business, you know, something where I'm working with people, probably selling something. So I think I got a job selling suits pretty early on. Didn't really make much money. Then I started into the car business. My dad works for a company, and they sell aftermarket products. They sell finance products. When you buy a car, go into the finance department, sign all your documents, and they do, you know, for example, they do like, I think the number's 80% of all the gap insurance that you buy on a vehicle in a dealership in the United States and Canada. So he's like, I don't know his technical role, but he's landed a ton of accounts and manages a ton of accounts all over the country. So he's done that for like 25 years. So naturally he's like, dude, you should start selling cars. It's like talking to girls. Okay, great. So started a dealership, had no idea what I was doing. None. But I was able to just absolutely win someone over like it was like a superpower almost. But there I really kind of found out that I was very, very, skilled at communicating with people, not selling, but that's something I get from both my parents. I'm just, I've always been able to communicate with people. So I didn't really know what I was doing. Like I said, wasn't making that much money. And honestly, really wasn't partying a lot. I was probably 20, 21 at the time. But really got my feet wet. So then after that, I moved to Florida. I was coaching a football team during it. Actually, you know what, dude? No, I was selling suits at the time. Then I moved to Florida. I got into the car business. I was 21. I lived in Florida for like a year and a half.
You moved to Florida just to get into the car business?
No, I actually...
you want to change?
No, so check this out. On our senior high school spring break, one of my buddies, his stepdad did whatever, but they were chaperones. They got us a house and spring break Siesta Key. And he was this rock star figure, man. He made great money, and was awesome. You know what I mean? Would party with us on this trip. And I said, what do you do? Whatever it is, I'm a quick learner. It's kind of how I want to be.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, I'm on board and I'd love to learn more about it. Flash forward a year and a half or whatever, I reached out and kind of took the leap of faith and said, is there any interest do you have any interest in me maybe doing something with you down there? And he goes, would you be interested in moving to Florida? I had a girlfriend at the time. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So he drove up from Florida. We hit it off super good, man. And so he drove up from Florida. We drove all the way back. Or no, he flew up and we drove back down, and I lived in Orlando for about a year and a half.
Signed order to the girlfriend, or she came with you?
I wanted it to make it work, honestly, but that was a wild time of my life, man. We were close. She was like 3 years older, but probably the first real serious girlfriend I had.
Yeah, of course.
And look, man, I did fine with girls, but I was never the guy to, I didn't do anything with any girls down there. True story. And it was the right place to do it if you wanted to do it.
Of course.
It was an awesome place. Are you familiar with a Celebration?
Of course. Right in Orlando.
Awesome.
Near Disney.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Moved there and I'm like, I will live here one day for sure. So I had an unbelievable house. 6 months into us living there, he buys another house. So I'm in this house, $3.5 million house by myself. And I'm smoking weed all the time. So I'm having these experiences where partying and smoking pot is just doing nothing but propelling my life. All these positive experiences. And it was an insurance company. So essentially they did health insurance, annuities, stuff like that. But what I was doing, I hadn't gotten licensed. So I was just interviewing people and hiring people for their agency. So that's kind of what I was doing down there. But I was kind of like his right-hand man too. He was a good mentor for me at the time. But he was a rock star figure. Until the end, we had a pretty wicked falling out. But it was an unbelievable experience though, because I've always wanted to really just go, man. And I had never had any fear about going and doing something. I was never scared about going and trying something ever.
Yeah.
So being down there, living in that, I knew it was possible. I got a taste for it. And I wanted it. I was like, okay, this is a guy from Ohio who can do this. He did it. Now I'm here. This is 100%. This is possible. So I worked that job for about a year and a half. Girlfriend ended up cheating on me.
Yeah.
Which I didn't find out about till I got back, which, I was 21, but it sucked at the time.
Of course.
But honestly though, man, it was, when I just got pissed off at the world a little bit when that happened. Like she, dude, I just developed this, fuck it. I'm just going to go prove everybody wrong and make a bunch of money. It's really kind of where I developed that for that, what I had for a few years there was just money hungry attitude, which is not the right attitude to have.
Yeah.
So I took that into selling cars when I started. So like I said, I lived down there for about 1.5 years and really liked it, man. Had a great time. Pretty different falling out of the situation down there. But not sharing a ton of detail on that, which I would with you. I really don't mind. But, on here, it's like, well, you can edit this stuff out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, dude.
Well, if you don't want it on camera, don't share it.
Well, it's just a name, it's like.
Oh, well, don't share the name, but share what happened. Yeah, share what happened.
Man, I mean, honestly, bro, it was the guy I worked for. He loved smoking weed. And, but I'm thinking, so we're down there. He loves smoking weed. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, guys who are successful can do it. Maybe this is something where maybe this is what my life's going to be like, smoking weed and still making a bunch of money and still being extremely successful and, managing a family and all that stuff. But, dude, I wasn't eating good. I wasn't working out, which I really didn't maybe prioritize a lot because I was still younger. My metabolism was firing pretty good, but, I wasn't doing anything that I really wanted. And I didn't like, dude, I'm a family guy. I missed my family after a while, the girlfriend deal. Yeah, like it was bummed me out for sure, but I spent some time alone and I'm like, I don't really love this. And he had some, totally just between you and me, dude, like there were some times where he would like, some situations with some other girls. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I do great with women, but I am not the kind of guy to be doing this to my wife when I'm 40. I just don't get down like that. I really don't. I am not cut from that cloth at all. I wouldn't do that to my wife. I wouldn't get married to do that. So just some stuff where I'm like, what kind of longevity do I really see with this here? I'm like, sure, yeah, I'd love to be rich and successful, but I don't know if this is for me. Maybe I can just do it back in Ohio. I mean, I'm telling you though, it was the most incredible experience. The house we lived across from, I don't want to exaggerate, but it was like a $20 million house. It was unbelievable. I'm 20 years old and I am sitting there like I'm in Calabasas. That's what it looked like. I mean, it had like 5 garages. It was massive. It was like 12,000 square feet. And I remember we'd go over there and, dude, we'd walk around at bowling alley, gym, sauna. I mean, like 3 kitchens, 2, I think it had 2 gyms to be honest, and a lazy river and stuff. And I'm like, and the guy bought the 3 most expensive lots there. He owned all 3. So I'm surrounded by this and I'm like, this is incredible. But it still didn't outweigh the fact that I did miss my family. And I did, and it wasn't clicking with the other things that were going on. And again, totally between you and me, we had a falling out where I kind of confided in him and told him this. And he fucking did not go for it, was not happy, and really said some shit to me where I was like, what the fuck does this guy think he's talking to? I am, if I'm not one thing, is I'm not somebody's bitch. And nobody's going to talk to me like that. And on that day, it was kind of the first time I really had it out with somebody where I was like, you know what? Yeah, I don't get down like that.
Yeah, I'm out.
Go fuck yourself. Even if you're 40 with kids and a family, go fuck yourself. I'm good. And then I just made a decision that day. I'm like, I'm going to live my life on my terms. I'm going to do what I want. Because usually at the time, man, I was making great decisions. And I always had a good idea. And I always usually trusted my gut, listen to that voice in the back of your head. At the time, it was saying the same for you. But awesome, probably one of the best experiences of my life, though, because I was around it. I got a taste for it. And it's something I still hold on to today when I go into work. But I'm not so money hungry driven anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of what I was just surrounded by that. It was all money driven and and that's probably why I was selfish, later on in life. It's because that's kind of what my mindset was. I really bought into that idea of not money will make you happy, because we didn't always have, we were always comfortable, my family.
Yeah.
So it's not like I wanted to be, I wanted to be driving a Lamborghini. I thought it was awesome back then,
Yeah.
But when I got into selling cars, I kind of carried over, started making some money. I'm 21. At this time, I'm partying up at Ohio State. I'm living at Wright State University. It's in Dayton. And, working Monday through Thursday. At this time, I was at a dealership by Wright-Patt Air Force Base. And probably making, I don't know, man, 70 grand a year. 21, I was flossing, it felt like.
Mm-hmm. At 21 years old, that's a good salary, yeah.
Yeah, man. And at this point, too, I really knew what I was doing. And it was a perfect transition like into car sales, because it wasn't like a one man for himself, straight commission pay. We worked on teams and we all contributed, and we were an hourly pay. But we also got paid bonuses. So it was a pretty comfortable, not having to fight for it every single day, which really helped me establish this kind of, consistent work ethic, rather than like, later on in my life, it was straight you versus you, got to get it done. You have some bad months, have some good months. In this job, you could have not your greatest month and still make okay money, because your teammates will save you, which is great. But, I would drive up to Ohio State on Thursday nights and just rock it Thursday and Friday, probably Saturday. And just work it out, work when I'm not doing that. So I did that for a while. Ohio State was a lot of fun.
Yeah. When did your drinking really start to ramp up and your partying?
Probably right around then.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah. So take us through like the last 2 years right before you got sober, and like what that was like, the progression. What were you doing? And what were you feeling?
Well, I'll say this. Around that time when I was selling cars, I was fun to be around.
Yeah.
I was a blast. It was the life of the party.
The beginning of drink. Yeah. It's like fun at first. Yeah.
Honestly, up until I was about probably 25, 26.
Okay.
And anyone who spends time around me, they'll probably attest to that too. But around that, 2 year prior mark is when I turned into an asshole. And I don't know why. That's the thing that really, looking back, I go, God, I'm so glad that I'm sober, because I don't know why. When, dude, I'll give you an example. When the Bengals went to the Super Bowl 3 years ago, I think, I don't know. I blacked out before the game started. Don't remember it. And and we had a party at my parents' house, and there's videos and pictures of me, and it's funny to look at, but I look back at that and I go, wow. Wow. Just another reassurance as to why. Don't know. I probably started drinking, dude, at 10 a.m. that day. I was just excited, and we get there, there's a party, and, dude, I'm 3 beers in, 2, 3 more, start drinking Jack. And I never thought like, let's get fucked up for this game. I just thought the Bengals are playing. It's time to celebrate. So I was really, looking back, binge drinking. Like I got really good at that, but also smoking pot during that, getting crossfaded. I loved that feeling of being high and sipping a drink. It was just something that just was like total, I don't even know what the word is, just totally a perfect mix. So yeah, up at that point, dude, is kind of when I turned into blacking out, drinking twice, 3 times as much as everybody else at the party, and I was never, ever a guy, maybe when I was a lot younger, but to go out and have a beer. I do remember situations where my buddies would say, let's go to B-Dubs and have a beer. And of course, I would never have one beer. It's like, even if it's just a Tuesday and I got to work on Wednesday, I'd have 2, 3 beers and I'd come home and I'm like, 7 o'clock. What are we doing? Where are we going? We started. Why are we stopping? It's just, I didn't know a brake. I didn't have a brake pedal. So I started doing that a lot, and I wasn't drinking a lot during the week. When I was drinking, I was drinking, and I was pretty good at it. But something happened at that 25, 26 where I was hard to be around, and I developed a poor outlook on life. Just a really selfish kind of woe is me. I don't know where I got it from, to be honest, because I was making pretty good money. I was spending it too, to be honest. I was buying a bunch of weed. Wasn't prioritizing my health a lot, but I had a job that was pretty stressful. I sold cars at the biggest General Motors dealership in the country in Cincinnati, and we were rolling. Didn't get any time off during COVID. At the time, people are stay inside, and we're still being asked to go to work. It kind of pissed me off, to be honest. Even though I made great money during COVID, I was like, fuck, when can I get a break? So these things just jabbing at me. And I kind of would just start taking it out on partying. So in Ohio, the Midwest, there's always a reason to party. You got the Reds, you got the Bengals, the Buckeyes are rolling. So there was always an occasion, and especially with my family. And I always looked forward to having the drinks because I never thought I had a problem, like ever. Up until I really got sober, I didn't, because no one in my family had one, man. I thought I was just like everybody else. You get hammered one night and get into a fight with my girlfriend, and okay, I'm sorry, don't remember even fighting with you, but I tone it down for a while. Saturday comes around, Buckeyes are on at noon. I'm out of the gym by 8:30. Dishes are done, laundry's done. She's getting ready, and that Buckeye spec bottle up on top of the fridge is staring at you, and you're like, what else are we doing? Might as well start now. And I didn't do it to I'm going to be fucked up by half, I can't wait to get fucked up. I just what else are we doing? I'm fine. I'll be able to hold my liquor. I'll be good. Like I always have. People in my family, my friends, they do. But looking back, I never, people don't do that. It's wild. So when I say binge drinking, that's kind of what I did, man. But, right up to the end of my, that final point, oh man, I was getting really unpleasantly drunk. Not puking and, but making poor decisions.
What was the poorest decision you made?
Dude, how much time do you have?
Give us the dirt. Well, no, but what was the catalyst in getting sober? What was there one thing that happened? Was it a couple of things that happened where it was okay, I need to get sober. I have a problem.
Yeah.
Doom.
There was definitely a few that stand out for sure. But, there's a culmination of a lot of bad things from the fun stage to the, fun with some problems, but thankfully nothing serious. Then I crossed over to that, holy shit, there's a lot of problems. And is this really even fun anymore? And when it finally hit and it all came to a head was, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not having fun. Life is not fun for me anymore. And I was emotionally a wreck. And we hadn't broken up at this point. But like I said, dude, I was an asshole. And I had no idea. I was unpleasant to be around. I just had a bad outlook. But we went on a golf trip, and we were in Orlando. And I remember one time, it was my brother-in-law and we went out downtown and we went to a bar, had fun, and I got into a situation where I thought I lost my wallet, and was hammered. So I don't know. This definitely probably didn't go down the way I thought it went down, but I thought someone stole my wallet. I thought I saw the guy who had the wallet, or a girl, right? She swiped it, something like that. So I'm trying to get people who work there to help me out. Nobody's helping me out. It's pissing me off. And I start motherfucking this guy at the door, fucking my wallet, right? He has my wallet. It ends up back to me somehow. We end up on the street outside. There's a bunch of people walking around this square with bars in downtown Orlando. And I start talking to these cops. Hey, this inside this situation with my wallet. They don't seem very interested in what I have to say. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, what are these assholes doing? Like, you're cops, help me out. So I got loud and I said some things. I don't remember exactly what, but I said some stuff where, you know, I remember them looking at me telling my brother-in-law, if you don't get his ass out of here, we're going to intervene and we're going to do something. So my brother-in-law probably kept me out of jail that day. I definitely, you know, look back at that a lot, but that's one of those where I went, okay. You know, that was probably when this whole beginning of the sober party started, honestly.
Yeah.
I had a hangover on the way back from a golf trip in South Carolina that was paralyzing. It was my dad and my Uncle Jerry and myself, and drove back. So I'm the only guy partying. My dad's, you know, 4 years sober at this time, 5 maybe. And I'm there on a golf trip. So I want to drink some beers, have some drinks, smoke some weed. And the last night we're there, and it's so funny because this is how, you know, another one of those where I know I had a problem. It's because I still tell the story today to people. And my dad always ends up saying, dude, you had 12 beers, right? And you had like 4 or 5 mixed drinks. What are you talking about? And it didn't feel like I had all that much. But the next day we're driving back. I was laying down in the back. They're driving up front. And I remember just feeling like, whoa, I'm feeling like I'm going to get sick. Boom, leaned up, got sick out the window of the truck. And I proceeded to get sick for the next 7 hours. Hungover. Yeah. And it just, boom. I mean, like just the most wicked hangover I've ever had. Yeah. And it's just like, wow, I don't even remember drinking that much. What's going on? You know, dude, I mean, there's a lot, to be honest with you, and just like yourself, you know, but, you know, going back to what you said, what was the catalyst? I remember exactly where I was, exactly how I felt on that day when I knew I would never, ever drink again, ever. It was when my now fiance broke up with me. It was wild. I got home from, I think it was a Friday. I got home and she had said the day before, like, I'm fucking done. And I had looked at her, you know, and like I said, we are close. We're best friends, and she is the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's a total blessing in my life. She's a rock star. She works hard. It's great in her company, man. She's awesome. Total blessing. But she looked at me the day before and made a comment like, I'm fucking done with this. And I looked in her eyes and I was like, oh shit, it's a different person in there.
She is really done.
Yeah. That's a different person saying that.
What was getting sober like for you? You decided to put down all mood and mind altering substances. What was that new life like for you? And what would, you know, decision making, what was everything like?
It was, I mean, the whole getting sober and feeling good part was awesome. But, you know, I was going through this time of being broken up with at the time with this person I've talked about having kids and getting married to for a long time. So honestly, I really didn't get to enjoy being sober and, you know, really taking advantages of all the positives that you gain when you get sober. Just because I was, you know, living with a lot of guilt and a lot of regret from now facing the things that having to deal with that made it harder, but it also solidified it for me. Like there's no going back, man. When I got sober, I took the blood oath. I mean, I was in. I mean, I signed like John Wick, you know, finger, blood, boom, on the paper. I'm in this forever. Yeah. And it's a blessing because I haven't missed drinking once. Yeah. Not once. And I don't say that because, you know, and I'm not the kind of guy who frequents a lot of meetings. I do go with my dad. It's cool. And I love it. And the reason I do, to be honest with you, is I watched one of your shows and you had a girl on and she hadn't gone for 15 years. And you were talking about, how it does make a bit of, and you guys were both talking about how it makes a difference actually working the program. And I called my dad and I said, they're onto something. And he did the program, dude. I mean,
but you called your dad after listening to my episode?
For sure.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
That's amazing, dude.
And we talked about it. And I said, there's a lot of sense to be made with this. It's, because I'd never really worked a program. I read and I studied on my own so much. I gained this respect for alcohol and sobriety that I think some people get going through a 12-step program and some people get not doing it on their own, but I had a lot of support. My dad did the program. He's been around the way. But with dealing with all the other stuff, man, my main focus was really getting my relationship back. And at the time, man, it was like, who knows? I don't know. She was checked out.
So one thing I do want to say is, and I think this is very important for the listener. For a long time, I thought a drug addict or an alcoholic was the homeless person sleeping under the bridge, or, in my situation, in your situation, you caught it before it got too bad. Yes, your girlfriend at the time had left you. She didn't want to be with you anymore. It doesn't have to get to the point where you are sleeping under a bridge.
Absolutely.
And in your case, you didn't like yourself at that time, who you were, or at least who you were becoming because of alcohol, smoking weed, whatever substances you were doing. But you were able to make those adjustments and get back to where, you were supposed to be and your career path and your life path. And then you also felt what it was like to take the substance out of your life, live in fear. Obviously, your girl just broke up with you, so you're probably a little fearful of that whole situation, scared straight a bit. And then you start to discover that there is a program out there that can help bridge you back to life in terms of your self-esteem, in terms of, not saying that's what you were lacking, but I'm speaking about myself.
Absolutely.
Once I found a program, it helped me get to, find that confident, love who I am. Have love for who I am. If you have love for yourself and you pour into yourself and take care of yourself, then the confidence comes. That is a result of loving yourself. So,
oh, dude, 100%. Yeah, man. I mean, you could apply. I read a book, Alan Carr, The Easy Way to Quit Smoking, like right after I got sober. And I read the drinking too. I was smoking a bunch of cigars and I just, quit now. And I got to tell you this too. And it's going to sound wild for everybody listening to this, but getting sober was, and I don't know how it's going to be taken, but getting sober was one of the easiest things I've ever done.
Wow.
Because when I realized...
You're going to get crushed in the comment section for that one.
Yeah, no.
That's fine. Whatever. Who cares? It's your experience.
And I don't mean that so literally like, getting sober is easy. But when a guy or a person gets to a point where they feel like they lost everything, and thankfully it wasn't everything. Far worse things could happen. Mm-hmm. And God forbid I get into an accident, get into a DUI, hurt somebody.
Dude, 100%.
You
were trending that way.
100%. Yeah. And it's just an absolute blessing that nothing like that happened. But when a person gets to a point where they feel like they lost everything, you'll do anything. And that's where I was at. And I really thought like, man, I am blood in. I'm blood oath. I'm in this forever. This is how I'm changing everything right now.
Yeah.
100%.
So you make the decision to get sober. You get sober. You're coming up on 2 years. Walk us through what life is like for you today. Clearly, you're reaping the benefits of putting alcohol, substances down and pouring into yourself and doing work on yourself. What's the result? Where are you at today?
Life is good, man. Life is good. And, I'm just blessed, dude. It's, I'm engaged.
Congrats, man.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's awesome. I've come a long way.
You got the girl back.
Got the girl back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That was the goal. And, fortunately, man, it worked out. It took a lot of, work on my side for sure. But, I think, she did some soul searching too and did some work. And again, we're better than we were before. And It's unbelievable. You know, I have a better relationship with her family, with my family too. But life is good, man. You know, right now we're staying on the beach where I was at when I was 21, 22 and just rocked it out for a week. We were walking to dinner last night and I'm like, wow, look at how far we've come. And it's so great to be able to walk by there and not miss drinking alcohol and not partying.
Yeah.
Not because I'm almost 30, but just to honestly say, you know, how I look at sobriety, dude, is I really, and some people say it, they're like, you know, you almost kind of go through a phase, but you still got to be sober today. I really believe that. My dad harps on that a lot. You know, just because it didn't work the program doesn't mean it's not important. You really got to emphasize the importance of being sober today and doing that every day. But really just, it's a blessing to not miss it because, you know, everybody always say, hey, like, how's it feel to not be hungover? Well, feels great. But dude, when I was partying, I didn't think about how I was going to feel being hungover.
Yeah.
I wanted to get fucked up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But in terms of how my life's changed, man, it's my decision making's great. I mean, my emotions are in check. My productivity at work is, you know, 10x. It's awesome, man. And I'm a good person to be around. You know, when I first got sober, I was, like I said, dealing with a lot of stuff. But one thing I heard was this guy said, you know, one thing I do every day is I don't necessarily have to have a great day today. Just be a good person, hold doors for people, say hi, be a contributing human in society. And just, you know, a lot of those days are going to be good days. You know, you don't have to save the world. You don't have to cure cancer today. Just do the right thing, be a good person, and you'll probably have a pretty good day.
I love that.
And I really try to do that, man. For a long time, I didn't do that. And it kind of sucks to say that, but you learn lessons, man. And but that's part of the sweetness of like being able to get up and, you know, like get up and go to the gym and just like it's 6:30, I'm at the gym and 7:30 you're done. We're getting breakfast. I'm drinking coffee and I'm like, wow, what a day. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, how, you know, I remember my dad told me, he's like, one day you're going to be driving with your windows down and you're going to hear a song and you're just going to crank it up and it's going to sound better than it ever has. And it's total truth because it's an appreciation that I learned for life, but for the sweetness of moments. Honestly, it's a lot of, when people who are, you know, battling addiction or if they just have an addictive personality, they're selfish. I was super, super selfish for a long time. And it causes you to take stuff for granted. Definitely guilty of that for sure. So not doing any of that in your life, it just makes your life so much easier, man. I was tired of being in my own way, getting in my own way. And now that I'm not in my own way, it's like, man, how good is life?
Yep.
And it just changes your whole outlook on it.
You're free.
It's bizarre.
Well, Austin, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Your story's going to help a lot of people. I appreciate you taking the trip here to come on and appreciate your support too, man. And watching the other episodes and checking me out.
Yeah, I'm going to keep watching, man. I appreciate you having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, man. Thanks.